Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news and lots to discuss this morning. Ollie's potentially shock transfer priority, a position that I think we do need to improve on, but didn't expect it to be the priority in January. Also a COVID scare for Sunday Pelestri. We hoped that he would be involved against Watford. It appears he has tested positive for COVID, which will put him out of the game for Watford. But also, what does that mean for Manchester United and further COVID cases? This could be an issue we'll talk about as well. Also, some disgusting comments from the mainstream media about Anthony Martial again, and some transfer updates on Casido and a few other players as well. But good morning, hope you're doing well. Remember, you can download the Flick app, it's free. It's basically like a United Stand app where you can chat about transfers and Man United news 24/7. It's available on Apple and Android, like I say, it's free. We've put a poll up this morning. Which right back would you like to see Manchester United signing? There's 4 options there. Get on the app. We'll have a look at that in a bit and see what people are saying. But a bit of a hint about where we're going to start off with here. The news this morning, and it's coming from The Athletic again, is that Manchester United are prioritising a right back. They want a right back. In relation to Max Aarons, good player. They like him, but he's not what they're looking for. They're looking for a ready-made right back, and there was a feeling that Manchester United would have made a move for Kieran Trippier this January transfer window if he didn't have this ban hanging over him. Obviously, he's over in Atletico Madrid at the moment. He was given, I think, a 10-game ban. I think he's appealing that, but it's obviously put the blockers on a move for Manchester United with that controversy surrounding him. But at around 30 years of age, this is obviously the sort of profile of a right-back that Manchester United want. And remember, I think I've been saying it for the last couple of years, we did used to look at Thomas Meunier quite a lot. He was scouted quite heavily. Obviously, we ended up with Wan-Bissaka, but I do think that Meunier obviously was on the list, because I know he was, but also he fits this profile of this more experienced fullback, which is what we've done with Telles at left back. So, look, I think Manchester United do need a right back. I think we've all seen the deterioration in Wan-Bissaka's form this season. He's not the player he was last year. The consistency, I don't know whether he's being overplayed. Look, I don't think Bruno played well the other night, but you could use that excuse for Bruno as well. You're playing too much football, lad. I think Wan-Bissaka's you've been used too much, but he does need competition for place. You know, for every bit of defence I can give Wan-Bissaka, and I do think he is a very good player, there's also issues as well. He's not playing as well. He's not getting forward. His passing's not good. He's not. I think wide players are more confident at running at him this season than they were. Positionally, there's issues, as we know. So Wan-Bissaka definitely needs competition at right back. However, it shouldn't be the priority position for me. We do need a right back, but I would wait until the summer. We've got through a year and a half with Aaron Wan-Bissaka at right back. I don't think Wan-Bissaka is going to cost us winning the title. I think what's going to cost us winning the title is the issues we've got at centre-back, and that's what we should be looking at in January. But it appears at this moment in time, the 2 areas that United are looking at, and we might end up with none, we might end up with 1, we might end up with 2, is the Casido deal and a right-back. The centre-back thing is ridiculously quiet. In fact, I've been talking to people this morning about this. A couple of people have messaged me. Do I know anything? No. I know nothing. I know nothing in general, some would say. But I know nothing about Manchester United and a centre-back. I wish I did. I thought the Kabach story yesterday was interesting, but I think it's only that. And we can chuck centre-back names out there. I mean, I saw Romano talking about Upamecano yesterday, and it's like, well, on the same hand, you've got another story yesterday from The Athletic that we don't want Upamecano, and this has been mentioned twice. So I don't think Upamecano solves any issue for United right now. It's right now that we need a centre-back. And it's surprising, it's very surprising to me that we're in this situation whereby when I go back, and I don't want to do shows like this. I know some people do like it, but I don't want to go back through every goal we've conceded this season and say what went wrong there, what went wrong there, what went wrong there. But I think we could do it in December and easily say that most of the goals we're conceding are because of our centre backs, namely Maguire and Lindelof. As a pairing, they don't work. When you put Maguire with Bailly, or maybe if you try Lindelof with Bailly, I think we become a little bit better. But look, you know, I said this before Christmas. I don't want to be, like many of you, sat there in the summer saying, oh, we didn't win the title. Imagine if we had bought a centre-back in January. And I think that's a very real possibility. And it'll be a very sad possibility. If we're sat there in the summer saying, what if well, let's imagine we're saying what if in the summer now, but we've got into a time machine and we're back in the January transfer window. Sign a bloody centre-back. It's the most obvious thing to do. Sign a bloody centre-back. But we'll see what happens on that. Cindy says he needs a hug. Diallo signing's good. Obviously, I saw KG's reaction to it yesterday. Excited about Diallo. Let's see what happens with him. Look, he's very well thought of. I was reading a lot of stuff yesterday. He's very well thought of. We've got a very exciting player here. And all I'd say about Diallo is, and I've said it so many times, let's be patient. Because we saw it with Chong. We've seen it with other players. They have a bad game and it's like they're a load of shit. Let the rivals do that. But as a fan base, be patient with Diallo. I think people think Diallo is going to put a United shirt on and start playing like Prime Ronaldo. Prime Ronaldo took years to become Prime Ronaldo at Manchester United. When he first started, he was very raw. And I don't think Diallo's on the same levels as Ronaldo. So hopefully he can be, but we're going to have to be patient. I don't want to see over the next few weeks, start Diallo. It's not the same as the Donny van der Beek situation, which I'll talk about in a few minutes as well. Patience, good player. Let's see what happens. Ollie's press conference is at 1:30, so we will be live just after that as well. But signing a player to push your previous signing to perform better doesn't make sense. What about under 23s? Imagine Ethan Laird, who could be a backup, says Sheikh. Well, it does, Sheikh. I think it does make sense to buy a player to push somebody to perform because it's worked with Luke Shaw and Tellez, hasn't it? But spending £50 million on a right back, you wouldn't really have to expect to buy. I see what you're saying. It's a bit like the Harry Maguire situation. When you spend £80 million on a centre-back, you shouldn't be having to buy another centre-back to get the best out of an £80 million centre-back. And to get the best out of a £50 million right-back, you shouldn't have to be buying another right-back. But it's not Wan-Bissaka's fault that he cost £50 million. It's not Harry Maguire's fault that he cost £80 million. We got taken for a ride by Leicester. That's not Harry's fault. I hate asking this question because you may have answered it before. If we buy a centre-back, wouldn't he still be behind Vacuum and the Hoover, says Fabian? Well, that's on Ollie, isn't it? If Ollie wants to say that Lindelof and Maguire are his first choice centre-back, then he will sack himself. I genuinely believe if he keeps sticking with them, he will sack himself. They don't work. I don't need to get stressed about it. They don't work. They do not work. I've been watching football for years. You've been watching football. Ex-players of our football club who've played at centre-back have said it. They do not complement each other. They're too similar. They're both slow. They don't read balls into the box very well at all. They need someone to complement with them. So if Ollie wants to do that, I'd be very disappointed. But it's on him. If he wants to do that, that's on him. We'll come back to that in a minute, though, because it feeds into something else which has been said in the media, which I think is a disgrace. Glad United aren't in for Max Aarons. Underwhelmed in the Premier League last year and no assists in the 23 Championship games this season. Would prefer Trippier and wait on Laird, says Duncan. Interesting theory. I don't think you're necessarily wrong with that. But there is a story coming out this morning. It's not hit the mainstream media in England yet, so I am hopeful that it might not be true. But I saw it last. I don't know where I saw it. I saw it on. I think it might have been United Report, and then on something else as well. That apparently Facundo Pellistri, this young Uruguayan right winger that we've got that we wanted to see playing against Watford, his talent agency has tweeted out that he has tested positive for COVID. So, to me, it looks like he's tested positive for COVID. I'm sure we'll get clarification from Ollie at lunchtime, and I'm sure the mainstream media in the UK will get hold of it eventually. But it appears that he has tested positive for COVID, which means that he won't play tomorrow against Watford, which is disappointing in itself. The bigger issue is we have seen in the UK that Aston Villa have had to shut down their training complex yesterday, but they have an FA Cup game tonight against Liverpool, and they're going to play under 23s because if they don't put a team out, they'll be kicked out anyway because the next round of the FA Cup's in a couple of weeks. So Burnley have also got a bit of a COVID crisis as well for the FA Cup weekend. Of course, my main concern is we're playing Burnley on Tuesday and then we're playing Liverpool a week on Sunday, which is less than 10 days. If you get COVID or you're close to somebody with COVID, you have to self-isolate for 10 days. If we lose a handful of players to COVID, then they will be out of the game for Liverpool. And, COVID's been an arsehole to a lot of people. People have lost lives. Bringing it back to football, we could lose 3 or 4 first-team players for the Liverpool game if this spreads. And it's a bloody nightmare. It's a nightmare in the UK at the moment. So many people are getting it. We are in lockdown now. I've got no concern that football's going to get cancelled for 3 months or anything like that. That won't happen. Funnily enough, Sean Dyche said something very intelligent last night. He said that footballers should be given the vaccine. Now, people say, that's immoral. You've got to give it to the over 80s. You've got to give it to the NHS first. But what he actually said is, I agree with that. But I would vaccinate footballers because the testing that we're having to do every week is costing loads of money that could be used for the NHS. Whereas the vaccine, we've got loads of them. There's only going to be a few thousand footballers that need to be vaccinated when they've got millions and millions of jabs. Once they're vaccinated, they don't need to be tested anymore. So quite an intelligent point there. But the main thing is, we're all in lockdown. The cases are going to start coming down. So these COVID crises in the Premier League will stop in the next couple of weeks. But in the immediate future, this Pellistri thing is a concern. I wanted him to play against Watford. I did, and I hope he's, obviously our thoughts are with him and hopefully he'll be fine. I'm sure he will do. He's a young lad, fit young lad. But the reality is, he's been training with the first team. We know Pellestri's been training with the first team this week. If he's tested positive for COVID, there's a chance that there's going to be a few other United players who test positive for COVID over the next few days, and we know what we've got coming. And I don't think we'll be in a position where we can cancel games. I think we will have to play them. Liverpool had to play games before Christmas with people out with COVID, so it's a bit of a concern. Yeah, we'll just have to see where that story goes. But, I also feel that you've got to keep asking this question. Where are they getting COVID from? I said this when I was playing FIFA on That's Football yesterday. Since Christmas Eve, if I get COVID, I know everywhere I've been. There was the one time where I got my hair cut. I've been to the shops once, and that was a click and collect. I didn't have to go in the shop. So I could pin it down to 3 people if I get COVID. And I know what people in my household are doing. What are footballers doing in their own time that they're picking up COVID? When they're actually training, that's a sterile environment. They're being tested. Everything's kept safe. But they're obviously bringing it in from somewhere. Where are they all? What are they all doing? What were they doing on New Year's Eve is what I'm trying to say. Because a week ago, it was New Year's Day. And it takes between, 1 day and 10 days to test positive for COVID. What were they all doing around New Year's Eve? And I'm not talking about United players. I'm talking in general. And I think the clubs need to come down harder on these players. Because if I and you can know what you're doing over the last 2 weeks and know that you're safe, how are footballers not doing it? How are staff at football clubs not doing it? And I just think that, there's a responsibility here. And if we miss 3 or 4 players for the game against Liverpool because somebody's pissed about on New Year's Eve or whatever, then that could cost us a title. And these are the fine margins. Ollie starts Lingard Maguire as he wants to form a stable partnership, e.g. Vidic and Fernand. Can't rely on Bay or Twansibi due to fitness, so continues with a poor pairing, says Paul Green. Probably quite a sensible, common sense approach there. And Brian Kelly says, we really need form now. Ollie's United is streaky, bad form in the next month and a week window, and we can squander our spots, says Brian Kelly. You know what? Worst case scenario, I do actually think that Manchester United could still finish in the outside the top 4. Things can change around really quickly. I don't think we will, but we could, which is why that comment is absolutely correct. We must be very careful what we do over the next month in the transfer window and also with the squad, because we are capable of going on a run where we don't win a game for 6 games. And I'm telling you what, those teams behind us, there might be a bit of a gap, but it's not a huge gap. And we've got to play most of those. I know people don't think highly of him, but what about Seamus Coleman for right backs, says Carl Middleton. 4 or 5 years ago, Seamus Coleman would have been fantastic. Not now, he's too old. Man United Academy is Bermuda Triangle. All the prodigy players come here and go missing. Where do we go wrong with respect to coaching and managing, says Gurav. And let me just talk about Casido, and then I wanted to go back to the sort of Maguire and Lindelof partnership, but also bring in something from the mainstream media, which I think is disgusting. On Casido, the update with Casido is that there's been talks with another Premier League club that's not Manchester United. However, from speaking to a few people this morning and obviously doing the research that we do for the show, nothing has really changed with Moises Casido, the Ecuadorian midfielder, 19, that we've been linked with for 2 or 3 weeks. He'll cost less than 10 million quid. If United want him, they will get him. It's as simple as that. If Man United want him, they will get him. And the issue is, and this has been said by a number of journalists now, Manchester United do not know who they haven't made a decision whether they want him or not. So, you know, it will be frustrating if we don't get him. But, I mean, I don't know why we wouldn't go and get him, because as I said a couple of days ago, the price is, you know, we're doing these deals with like Palestri and Diallo. Why would you not do it for a midfielder? He's an international at 19 years of age. I don't know why United wouldn't go and do that deal, but we'll have to see. Aspiring Tenor says, you're too harsh, Mark. Anyone can catch it at the supermarket or wherever and can't force people to take a vaccine with unknown long-term side effects. But Aspiring Tenor, you're talking about the general public. I'm talking about footballers who have a responsibility to the club that pays them and their profession to be careful in their own time. And I'm not talking about United players here. I'm talking about in general. We know players of certain clubs have been to parties on New Year's Eve, and now it's spreading through those clubs. I don't know how Palestri's got it, but I'm talking about football in general here. It's absolutely categorically fact that some high-paid footballers have been to New Year's Eve parties that many of you haven't done, mingled with each other and spread coronavirus throughout their club, and games have had to be cancelled. That's irresponsibility. And I'm sorry, there are some brilliant personalities in football, but there are some absolute tossers as well, who have lived in a bubble all their life, who basically get fed off a silver spoon, who think they shit gold and think they can do what they like. And I don't care what anybody says, I've met some of these footballers and they are tossers. Ex-players, current players, they are. They live up their own arse and they don't think rules apply to them. And this is where the Premier League and the football clubs need to make them aware. I said this at the very start. I said this back in April. The problem is the Premier League can chuck as much money at football as they like. They can get the testing. They can put the protocols in place. They can keep matches and training sterile and very safe, which they are. But footballers are in their own time. What are you going to do then? Because you're not necessarily dealing with common sense people. You're dealing with massive egos who think, you know what, I've got a day off. I'm off round Johnny's house to play PlayStation. You know what, it's New Year's Eve. I'm going round his house for a party. So what? And they do it. And there's numerous examples of this happening. You know, it's been in the press. Not talking about United players specifically. I don't know what the situation is with United, but we do know that COVID is now spreading through Premier League clubs because of the irresponsibility of some of these footballers. And unfortunately, I don't know where you live, I don't know where you're from, but many of you will know and some of you won't know, footballers in general, stereotypically, which I do not like, but some footballers are very selfish, live in a bubble, and do irresponsible things. And that's what I'm saying. The clubs need to get a hold of that. I'm not talking about Palestri. I'm not talking about Manchester United, because I think United have been very good at this. And of course, Palestri could have picked it up totally accidentally. You just do not know. And my concern about that is that it's going to spread through the club when we've got big games. But in a general sense, I think football should be doing a lot more, and footballers should be acting more responsibly, you know, in general. On a lighter note, I read somewhere Maguire can't aim headers as his head is more of a cube with edges. Says Arito, come on. Start, sell, bench, Fred, McTominay, Van der Beek. Well, I'm going to start Fred. I'm going to start Fred, I'll bench Van der Beek and I'll sell McTominay if I've got to do that, Jose Frias. Seen a lot in the media stating players and Ollie, we lost to a very good City side, although it was centre-back mistakes, which is frustrating. We're still doing well and we need to keep back in the team as against them, says Nick M. Yeah, I agree with that, Nick. I think we lost that game because of the defensive errors. You're absolutely correct. We know this is why we're talking about a centre-back. The Man City... I don't think Man City were that good. I was very impressed with the way Pep played, because he didn't play with a false nine and it was very hard to pick them up. But ultimately, we were in that game and we made a terrible mistake with the cross. The second goal, you know, whatever, it's one of those. Love the content, Marks. Love from Arizona, says Chris. And Jez Hendo as well. But, you know, as I said, I'm quite relaxed today. I'm looking forward to the game tomorrow. I'm looking forward to the games next week, Burnley and Liverpool, of course. But we are in a title race, and you know I feel better than I did yesterday, and I don't agree with the people shouting Ollie out. It's just ridiculous to do that. Give him till May. I don't care if you are Ollie out, but give him till May. Shouting Ollie out at the moment just causes conflict and negativity in the fan base that we don't need. All right, you're Ollie out. Shut up and wait till May, because screaming and shouting Ollie out just embarrasses the fan base. We don't need that, because it's not going to happen and it shouldn't happen. You know, any logical person, even the most adamant Ollie outer, will know that now is not the time for him to be sacked, and it won't happen. So why shout and cause negativity? You know what I mean? But something I did see yesterday that I do want to bring in, because we've got quite a lot still to get through. I saw yesterday that there was this line, Anthony Martial is going to get Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the sack. Now, you might know where this line came from. You might know who said it. I refuse to shout them out because it just gives them what they want. Basically, I think they do it on purpose to create a story, to get attention. So I'm not going to give them that attention. I'm not going to shout out the individual, and I'm not going to shout out where it happened. But it's the mainstream media in the UK saying that Anthony Martial will get Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the sack. And it's this undisputed bias that pisses me off and makes me embarrassed to be British, and embarrassed that my club continually gets linked to this sort of bias. Why is Anthony Martial now the player that's going to get Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the sack after a game where our two centre-backs cost us the game? But they don't get it because Victor Lindelof's not high profile enough and Harry Maguire plays for England and is English. You know what I mean? I dread to... I was sat there thinking this, right? When I criticise players, I do it on the basis of their performance. When Scott McTominay plays well against Leeds, I'll give him man of the match. When Harry Maguire plays well with Eric Bailly, I'll say, yeah, this is the player I think he can be. When he plays with Victor Lindelof and costs us a game, I go in on them two as a pairing, because your centre-back pairing, you're basically one. It's shit. It's not good enough. It isn't good enough. But what I really draw the line at is, I know Martial didn't play well the other night. I know Bruno didn't play well the other night. I know Rashford didn't play well the other night. They're all, three of my favourite players at the club. But I'm more than happy to say, well, I'm not happy about it, but I'm more than, I will admit they didn't play well. But what really pities, it really does. I don't even know what the word is. There's a word for this. I don't really want to use the word that's in my head because it's too sensationalist, I suppose. But it's definitely because he's not English. And it's definitely because he doesn't do many interviews. And it's definitely because they've never really liked him. And I don't really get what the issue is with Anthony Martial. But he's always the scapegoat. And it's totally and utterly unfair. Like, he had very little to do with why we went out against Man City. He had no service. It's not like he missed 2 or 3 chances. We went out of that game because of the centre-backs. And yet you've got a voice on the mainstream media with a big pull saying that Anthony Martial will get Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the sack. People listen to that shit and they start targeting Martial because of it. Whether they're fans of our club or not, they listen to that shit. And it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting, and it should be called out for what it is. Whether you like Martial or not, if you're a United fan, you should be calling that out for what it is. That is total and utter bias. It's targeted harassment of a player in a footballing sense because it has no place after that game. And what I would say is, imagine this. Imagine Anthony Martial had been on holiday in Greece and had done or been involved in with what Harry Maguire had been involved in. He'd then come back to Manchester United and put in the performances that Harry Maguire did between September and Christmas. Can you imagine what that outlet and the wider English media and some of our ex-players would be saying about Anthony Martial? It's not about Harry Maguire and it's not about Anthony Martial here. It's about a bias towards some of our foreign players. Pogba gets it, Martial gets it, David De Gea got it. 3 or 4 weeks ago, it was kick David De Gea out of the team. One of our most loyal and best performing players over the last few years. Kick him out of the team because we've got Dean Henderson on the bench and he's English, even though David De Gea's had a good season. There is this horrible, horrible bias in our society, I suppose, because some of our fans have got it, our media have got it. They go in on the same targeted players all the time, but they expose themselves after a game like Wednesday night where, yeah, Martial didn't play well, but Bruno didn't play well. He started getting a load of shit as well. The funniest thing after that game is mainly Martial and Bruno were getting all the shit. Not Rashford, not Maguire, not Wan-Bissaka. Rashford, Bruno and Martial. And you know what that is. You know what that is, and it's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. And we as a club are better than that. And the mainstream media needs to be better than that. And some of these people who are doing that need to be better than that because you're exposing yourself for exactly what you are. And you know what you are. You are targeting those players because they are not English players. And that's what it is. And it's been going on for too long. And you know what? It's true. We've been talking about it for a long time. It happens all the time. Certain players get targeted because they're not from the youth setup or they're not English. And it's been going on for a long time. And it's dangerous. It's dangerous to put stuff out there that Anthony Martial is going to get Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the sack. Where's this shit coming from? He was our player of the year last year. This year, he's been suspended, he's had injury, he's still managed to get quite a few assists and a few goals, whilst admittedly not playing well, but apparently Martial's now going to get Solskjaer the sack. I tell you what's going to get Solskjaer the sack, if he keeps picking Victor Lindelof and Harry Maguire. Because go through the season, even the end of last season, look at the goals we've conceded, and I'll guarantee you, and it's a ridiculous percentage, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's over 50% of the goals we've conceded have been because of those two, which is ridiculous. So, you know what, maybe I'm having a bit of moan on a Friday morning, but I think sometimes it's not an individualistic moan, it's a moral moan. It's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. I don't care if you don't think Martial's a good number 9, that's a completely different argument. But this hunting down of certain players because they don't fit the profile of what people want, and I'm talking society here, isn't right. Even Roy Keane said Bruno didn't perform in the big games and that's why we didn't win. All players are allowed bad games, so why not Bruno? Seems unfair, says Salah Ahmed. Exactly, he did have a bad game. He did have a bad game. Bruno agenda is still less. Most fans love Bruno, but Martial has been bashed left, right since Mourinho. He shut some mouth since last season, and I hope he does the same this season. Exactly. Mark, West Ham is the latest team to approach Casido, says United Football, and we cannot win a title with Rashi and Martial starting. This Tony bias is ridiculous, says John Sherrell. You know what, mate? I think we can win a title. We came third with Martial and Rashford starting. So where's this bullshit that we can't win a title with Martial and Rashford starting? You know what people need to do about Martial and Rashford? Let's talk about them as a pairing. People say you can't win a title with Rashford and Martial. Bullshit. Last season, Martial, Greenwood and Rashford scored more goals than any other Premier League strike force apart from, I think, Manchester City. The biggest issue at Manchester United has been the same issue for years, even before Ole came in. We don't create enough chances for our strikers. I think when Lukaku was here, he was averaging 2 or 3 chances a game when Harry Kane's getting 5 or 6 at Spurs. We don't create enough chances for our strikers. Tell me a chance that Martial had created for him on Wednesday night. You won't find one. Tell me a chance Cavani's been had created for him in some games recently. We don't create enough chances for our strikers. So how can you say we won't win a title with Martial and Rashford when we create next to nothing for them? Like, if a striker's missing chances, like Firmino misses for Liverpool, then fair enough. But we don't create chances for our strikers. What we do is concede shit goals because of our shit centre-back pairing. That's the most relevant point in this team. That's why we won't win a title. If we don't win a title, and we keep playing those two, that's the most evidential point in this team. The second one is probably McTominay and Fred, because I don't think McTominay works at CDM. And the third one might be Wan-Bissaka, burning out. I don't have any issue with our strike force, whether it's Greenwood, Martial, Rashford, Cavani. If you give them the chances, they'll score the goals. We don't create enough chances, though. That's the problem, in my opinion. But let's come out with absolute crap statements like Martial will get Ole the sack, or Rashford and Martial aren't good enough to win a title. Absolute horseshit. It's totally and utterly incorrect. And the trouble is, some people want to run agendas, and the mainstream media do it, and some ex-players do it, and some fans do it. They will not shift away from an agenda. And I don't like that word. I really don't, because it's been levelled at me before, as people know. But the reality is, I don't have an agenda. I just want Manchester United to do well. And I will be very critical of players, as I have been with Harry Maguire, as I have been with Matic in the past, and as I have been with McTominay. But when they perform, I'll be right at the front to say, that's brilliant, that's what we want to see. Because all I want to see is United players performing to the level they need to be in that great shirt. And if they don't perform, then, and I don't think they're good enough, then I'm going to say that. But for me, you put Harry Maguire with Eric Bailly, I'm happy with that centre-back pairing. You let Scott McTominay run past Bruno Fernandes as a box-to-box player, I think you'll get the best out of McTominay. But you sit him as a CDM, I don't think you will. You stick Maguire with Lindelof, he'll be back to being shit again. So, I just want what's best for the team, as I know most of you do. But this individual bias is disgusting. It really is, because people never move past it. It's like some Ollie outers. He could win the league, and I think some people would say no, he's still shit, sack him. It's ridiculous. No one wants us to do well, says Nick M. We always try to disrupt the fan base, see it as a massive compliment as they're now scared of a threat we pose, let them talk. Yeah, and the great thing about Ollie is he will think that, and he will use that as a siege mentality. The scary thing is we don't know how strong that dressing room is, and some people might hear that and go, yeah, it is Tony's fault. Hopefully we've got a strong dressing room. Grealish would be a great buy, but push Rashford right. Rashford is really not good at crossing and much better off the left. What would you do then? I did see Fabrizio Romano talking about Grealish yesterday, actually, and he said that Manchester United love Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish wants to stay in the Premier League, but there's a lot of interest from elsewhere. I mean, that story's 18 months old and it didn't even come from Romano. I read it in the Manchester Evening News last February that Manchester United love Jack Grealish. They want Jack Grealish. Everybody knows that. The trouble is you can love, I'm sure Manchester United love Mbappe. In some ways, there's quite similar realities there. Not in talent, but the reality is, do Manchester United have 90 million, 80 million to spend on Jack Grealish? And if they don't, then it's going to be a very hard deal to do. We all know that Manchester United want Jack Grealish. Grealish would be a great player. We've done that one from Arito. Full respect on Martial's ability, but he's underperforming massively this season, and it's not just to him not having service. Well, Dane, I disagree with you, but I respect your opinion there. But he's not getting the service. He's not getting the service. Apart from that chance against PSG, he's not getting the service. Cavani's not really getting the service either. So I don't know why Martial doesn't get mentioned with Cavani, because I would say I would defend Cavani for the same thing. He is playing some games this season and not getting the service. So we need to be better at that. We do. But I also think Cavani and Martial, if you know football, they do a lot of running to create space for people like Marcus Rashford, which is why Marcus Rashford's got a lot of goals this season. Any striker will always be bantered. Our wingers and strikers who all want goals, all our strikers past 3 years come deep to help start a move, says Fabian. Yeah, Fabian's right there. It is infuriating how deep Martial and Cavani come sometimes. I'd much rather see Martial playing off the last man. But then again, he's so good with the link-up play with Bruno and Pogba. This is what I mean. Like, if you watch the movement of Martial and Cavani, a lot of the time they'll come deep to pull the centre-backs for Rashford to run in. And this happens a lot. But some people just don't understand how football works. Like, they just think, he's not scored a goal, he must be shit. But there's all sorts of movement going on. And if you watch Martial and Cavani, you'll see the movement they make. They're pulling players out all the time to create space for runners. And we're quite good at that, to be fair. Welcome to the Members Club, Chris Davis. Thanks for joining. What else did I want to talk about? Dimitar Berbatov, talking about Van der Beek, actually said that he's starting to get worried. He's not playing enough football, and at some point he will ask to leave. I mean, the Van der Beek thing for me, he will start tomorrow. Like, if he doesn't start tomorrow, don't watch the United stand at 7 o'clock when the team news comes out, because I will lose it. I will. There is no justification not to start Van der Beek tomorrow. If he didn't start tomorrow, I don't even know where we would go from here. But he will start tomorrow. He has to start tomorrow. I'm 99% sure. I'm not even 90% club. I'm 99% sure that Van der Beek will start tomorrow, unless he gets COVID or he's injured. So, but there is starting to be a lot of noise now. We've had the Dutch press at the start of the week. We've had the Dutch national coach. We've had Berbatov now, all talking about, Van der Beek will ask to leave and should ask to leave, or what's going on with Van der Beek. Basically a culmination of all those three. I personally think it's still very early, but he does need to get more game time. He can't have, between now and the end of the season, he can't have what happened at the start of the season. He can't just be playing half an hour every couple of weeks or something like that. He's got to get involved more. Otherwise, I think that reality could happen. And worst case scenario is he comes out and says, I want to go. I want to play football. There's plenty of clubs I can play for. I want to go. And if that happens, then United have handled the situation badly. But then again, United might go, yeah, you can go. That would be the worst case scenario. He asks to go and United go, yeah, you can go. I hope that's not the case. I hope the case is United want him as part of the team. They will give him more time and will start getting him into the first team. Because to be fair, in relation to what Berbatov said, to be fair, this can't carry on for long. It can't carry on for much longer. He is 23. He's not a kid. He's an international player. He's played at a good level, and he's not playing football, and he won't be happy. and he shouldn't be happy. And Ollie won't mind him not being happy because you want a player to be hungry. But it can't keep going on, and we've got to be careful about that. I don't think we're at that stage yet, but it's interesting how much noise there has been again this week. But hopefully he plays tomorrow and he plays well. One of my other big concerns is he plays tomorrow and he doesn't play well because his confidence has been knocked by not playing football and it gets in his head. But look, you know, the worst case scenario, Van der Beek could leave. You know, we've got to open our eyes to that. You can't just keep not playing a player and expect them to be happy. I just hope it's going to end up more like a Fred Lindelof situation, which is what Ollie referenced himself, where he gradually works his way into the team. But there's certainly a spot in that team as well. I mean, we've all seen it. There's a spot in that team. I genuinely think there's 2 spots in that team that Van der Beek should be pushing for. One of them is next to Fred. One of them is wide of Bruno, whether it's to the right-hand side or to the left-hand side, depending on where you play Rashford. I mean, I don't think Greenwood's pulled up trees on the right-hand side this year. You could try Van der Beek there. We've tried Mata there. And Cavani, I don't think will be fit to start every game, so that we play Martial, Cavani and Rashford. And Martial's not pulled up trees either. So there's a spot wide for Van der Beek, and I think he can do the role that Mata used to do. And I do think he can play in the midfield pivot as well. So, I mean, he's not going to get to play at number 10, is he? Because Bruno wants to play every game. But, there are spots. It's not... The thing for me with Van der Beek is McTominay's not been playing well at the moment. So that space is up for grabs. And on the right-hand side, Greenwood's not played well. So there are a couple of opportunities for Van der Beek. He's just got to grab them. Martial is key to us getting close to winning the Premier League. We need him on fire to even get close. Otherwise we fail, says Lawrence G. Thanks for the super chat there. Yeah, this is why I'd start Martial tomorrow. I think we need Martial to get confidence again. Very hard game for him to play against Man City on the other night. Bit of a thankless task, and I think Cavani would have struggled the same. There was not a lot going on, but yeah, we've got to see where it goes. Do you, in your heart of hearts, believe Ollie is the man to lead us to trophies and long-term success? Do you think he needs to improve tactically, says Darren Ray? What a question, Darren. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to be very interested in this because it's reciprocal, isn't it? You will be answering it as I answer it. So in my heart of hearts, do I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is effectively the right man for Manchester United? In my heart of hearts, I don't know. I'm not going to do a flex. I'm not going to sit on the fence. In my heart of hearts, I don't think we're going to win the league. In my heart of hearts, I don't think Solskjaer is good enough to win us the league. However, is he the right man right now? Yes, 100%. Should he be given till May? 100%. And will the situation be different in May? Yeah, it could be. I 100% believe we're in a title race now. Right now. I still have my concerns about Solskjaer because he's still a work in progress. But then I look at Lampard, I look at Arteta. Very similar things going on at Chelsea and Arsenal. These are not the complete managers. They make mistakes. Lampard's still doing it. Arteta's still doing it. Solskjaer's still doing it. The question is, will they ever get to a point where they're so experienced that they don't do that? Or will they ultimately be the reasons why they do get sacked at some point? There is still a question mark above Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I'm totally behind him and I want him to win the title. But there are still question marks there. I mean, even the other night, the whole Lindelof-Maguire thing and the deep line, when you knew we needed to play a high line, that was naivety. The late substitutions was naivety. He's still learning on the job. But without a shadow of a doubt, I would look at the last 18 months and say, whether I've liked some of the formations or not, there is definite progress. The thing is, can he keep making progress? And we know what the next steps are. The next steps are, can you do better than third? Can you get us to a final? Can you win something? And that's his next step over the next... I think if we get top 4, he will stay in a job for another year, and he should do. But if he doesn't win anything next year, I think that'll be his last year. So he's probably got 18 months left in the job, unless everything goes to shit and we finish outside the top 4 before May. Or he does something amazing and wins the title, in which case he'll be here for 3 or 4 years. So it's a big 18 months. And I'm happy to give him the next 6 months. I said that after Leipzig. You've got to give him till May. So 100% behind Solskjaer. Do I think he's the right man in my heart to win a title? No, because I don't think we're anywhere near favourites to win this title, but we are in a title race, and I do think we need to buy a centre back in January. So some of it's not even to do with Ollie. Some of it's to do with my conviction that I don't think we're good enough defensively to win this title. But it's been a really weird year. I hope we can. I don't believe we can at the moment, but we are in a title race. So I hope that makes sense. Effectively, I'm 100% behind him. I know he's improving. I don't think he's going to win as a title, but we could win a title, and we must give him till May. And in May, we'll have a lot more evidence than what we've got now. But part of that, for me, is the board again. They didn't back him in the summer. Are they going to back him now? And, that always must be in people's head. He didn't get a centre-back and a right winger last summer, and he's got us where we are. He's not going to get a centre-back in January, and look where we are. So you've always got to remember that no matter who the United manager is, the support of the manager is piss poor. And I'll guarantee you, if Solskjaer does get sacked, 18 months after, like Moyes, like Van Gaal, like Mourinho, he will come out and tell the truth. Not this stuff he comes out and says, he'll probably say at lunchtime, I've been backed, I'm really happy. Everybody said that. The truth will come out afterwards, that he didn't get the players that he wanted, that he didn't get backed. So that's always something that is a reality at United, and we should always remember that. Ahmed Diallo has been given the number 19 shirt, says Stavan, and today's pressers questions should be less about Ahmed, says Shaunik. Hopefully the questions today in the press conference will be about a centre-back, about transfers, because, if I was a journalist today and I was asking Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a question, the question would be this. You played Victor Lindelof and Harry Maguire on Wednesday night. Victor Lindelof has obviously been carrying a back injury. You've had to bring him back straight in. We know Eric Bailly and Twan Sebi have had injury issues, and Harry Maguire's played a lot of games. Do you need a centre-back to help this title race, and are you looking to get one in January? The question's perfect. It's not. He's got to answer that. Harry Maguire's played more minutes than anybody over the last 18 months. Lindelof has only just come back from quite a dilapidating injury that could come back. Eric Bailly gets injured quite regularly, and Twan Sebi has been out for a year. There's big issues there. Word it like that and ask him about a centre-back. Will somebody do it? No, they'll probably say, we're playing Watford. They're a team from London. Do you like playing teams from London? There's more chance of that than the relevant one. Hey Mark, just want to know your opinion. 100 million on Sancho or Grealish if they both cost the same price. Good question, Chobbaia. I would say that they're both... I mean, Sancho's more of a £100 million player, but I don't know. It's difficult. I like Sancho. I like Grealish. I can't. I really... £100 million is probably more suitable to Sancho, though, I think. Thanks for the contribution from SM17. Look, I could talk for ages. We've got a press conference at 1:30. We'll be back for that. And tonight's show at 8 o'clock is Friday night, so it's always a bit of a Q&A and a relax at the end of the week. So get your questions ready for that. Please smash a like on the video, subscribe bottom right hand corner, and remember on the Flick app, and I'll give you an update. We have got, and I will do it. I will do it on the 1:30 show. But basically, Flick app, it's basically a United Stand app for chat about transfers and everything. Download it for free. Got over 10,000 people on there. It's very active. But we've got a poll up this morning. Which right back would you bring in? There's 3 or 4 players to pick. Get on the vote and we'll discuss that at 1:30. Thanks everyone for watching.